Hello, hello. Welcome to Think Lab number 15. Can you believe 15? We're almost
I know. I
we're
can't even
almost at
believe
four
it.
months. Look
I
at
know.
Mike at the estate of Think Minnesota Realty. Did you switch brokerages and we don't know it?
Nope. Lake
No.
Sotheby's International Realty,
Located
Esquire.
in where?
Conveniently located in the North Loop, Edina, Stillwater, or Wayzata, or my favorite hangout, the St. Paul University Club on Summit Avenue. Just come see me.
Mm.
Nice. And Dominic, where are you hailing from today?
I am hailing from beautiful Sandstone, Minnesota, in the heart of Pine County. Access to everything. It's
Nice.
a beautiful, beautiful place.
I'm at the world headquarters, Planet Earth, Think Minnesota. So here we are.
Yeah,
Sorry about your basketball team this weekend, Mike.
I know. But you know what? We were still there. Creighton did the school proud once again. Those young men are awesome.
They got a ways out of kid, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. So my son was telling me about it, and I lost track of who and what, but I think that's what he said. So,
Yeah.
all right. Oh,
I let AI pick my bracket this year, and it's not holding up too well.
no,
Uh-oh.
I'm in one. Oh, I'm on the Now Bam one real estate website.
All right.
I have a 7.3% chance to win. So not very great, but I'm
7.3% chance to win.
yeah.
All
I need a lot to happen according to my bracket. So, anyways.
right.
All right. So,
Well,
well,
how's everybody doing this week? How was your weekend? Busy, busy, busy. Offers accepted, offers written, houses shown.
no, I didn't personally write anything. We got one under contract right away last week. We had some open houses canceled. We had a house hit the market and under contract in, I don't know, 40 hours or so. So that was great. We did some other open houses, but that was about it. So yeah. How about you, Dominic?
I did another walkthrough with a client of mine. They'd been out of town, and they wanted to go back and see the property. We're about a week or two out from closing, so did some measurements, getting ready for the move in, etc., dealing through some last minute contingencies, but did not write any offers this weekend. Referred another agent of mine to another one of our colleagues who's looking up more towards Duluth area, so just trying to get people covered. But yeah, it's a little bit quieter weekend this weekend compared to the last few.
I think we got a lot of people on spring break. How about you, Mike? Did you write anything?
I did not write anything. We almost did. They were extremely captivated by this cute little house. They almost pulled the trigger, but it just wasn't the right one. So when they called for highest and best, they were like, nope, I'm not going to get involved. But the agent said that they only had one offer anyway. And then I accepted an offer on a listing, and I'm hopeful that there are several sharks swimming around the house that I have listed out in Lake Elmo. That's something we'll hit there. So it's been a busy. I showed a lot of houses over the weekend, and it was fun to be back in the buyer's agent seat. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So one of our topics today is what would be two things. We could do three, but we don't have enough time. Two things that you guys would suggest are changes in the industry that could make the industry better for the consumer, better for the process.
Mhm.
I think we should probably just kind of go one by one.
Yeah.
Mike, do you want to start? I know you had given me a call earlier, and
Yeah, we chatted earlier. I've got high expectations for this change in the industry. I don't think it's something that is really going to happen, not to be negative, Nelly, because I think it's an individual agent's decision if they want to or not. But it was again, just so amazing to me dealing with different listing agents as a buyer's agent this week with selling houses and just the whole spectrum of the professionalism from the highest of high, which was just so grateful, and to the lowest of low, where I showed one house two times. that has been on the market for over a month in a really hot neighborhood. The second time I went back after the first one was a virtual. I actually called the agent and said, "Hey, I'm back here. I'm showing the house a second time. The first one was a virtual, full transparency. Now the buyers are here." And to this, I mean, that was 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I still haven't had a phone call or a text from that realtor. So it's amazing to me. And then on the other side, when you engage with the realtor and have conversations, the realtor on the other side was like, "Oh, thank goodness, I just love talking like this. It's so much clearer. We can communicate so much more effectively." And um, so anyway,
So, but what's the change? So we
that
have an
realtors would
issue,
be
but how would
okay.
you
I
change
think
it?
realtors would be more professional overall, but that's a personal choice. And like I said, I had the whole gamut this week of what I would call AAA platinum realtors down to the ones that wouldn't return a call, wouldn't return a text, or just how do you change that? I would love to see that change, but how do you change that? That is a personal independent contractor's decision of how they want to run their business. And so it showed to me that the more professional the realtor, the more business they're going to do. And when you look at the production inside of the MLS for what they do, it pretty much holds true. It seems to be a direct correlation. That's all. But
But
how do you
we,
change that?
well, I think I mean, it's a loaded question, right?
Yeah,
We were going through the same thing. Dominic talked about how was working with another one of our agents. She's been trying to do a showing since Thursday. Never heard from the agent. Couldn't get a reply. Couldn't get in. Several calls, emails, texts, showing time requests. I think they canceled twice on the showing because they couldn't get in, couldn't get a reply. So to me, how do you change that? Well, I think you change that by having more broker interaction. I think you have that by having a better conversation with sellers and raising the sellers' expectations. And I think you add that layer of I don't like the term part-time, full-time agents because
I don't either.
there's some part-time agents that are fantastic. There are some full-time agents that are horrible.
Yeah.
I would like to just have a bare minimum for this job. And
I mean, I'm not
I
saying
think it falls on the broker.
on the broker.
Hmm.
I don't know. Um, I really think it's a personal decision on the realtor who is running their business and how they choose to run. And I'm not that realtor that if I have a bad experience with realtor A, I am not calling that broker and telling them. It's just like, I'm just not doing that. Um, but it does affect the next interaction that I have with said realtor.
Dominic, how about you? How do you change Mike's
Well, it's funny.
situation?
I've got two that I wrote down for myself, and I think they both kind of tie into what Mike's saying. And one of the things that I was thinking of was, this is maybe from an agent perspective, but I think it could end up helping consumers in the long run. Is if outside of this independent contractor model, what if there were more models where an agent could be, a W-2 employee and have to adhere more towards what the broker or that company's expectations are for customer service, response times. Sellers could benefit from that, buyers could benefit from that, agents could benefit from that. And I know it's not the most common model in our industry, but it's something that I feel like could help address some of those things if there was more, if that broker had a little bit more authority or ability to kind of step in and push agents to be more responsive or kind of shepherd those deals along in a more meaningful way. But that was kind of one of the things I was thinking about is just that that kind of mix between employee and independent contractor and how agents kind of treat the business themselves versus how an employee might treat that transaction.
You know what? I hear you, and not to throw cold water on that,
But
but there are a couple of brokerages in the area that are currently operating under that model.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes in all transparency, those are some of the most challenging um, realtors to actually communicate with. Especially like little things like if you can't get into the door and like this app for this specific place isn't working and it's not open. I'm like, oh my gosh, will somebody please just answer and help
Yeah.
me get the buyer into the house that you are trying to sell? Anyway, I don't know how to fix it. I just think that personal development, professional development, the 80-20 rule, 20% of the realtors are going to do 80% of the business. Why is that? Probably for a lot of reasons. Service, professionalism.
Cream rises to the top, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a great way to say it. It's true. But
Yep.
the 80-20 rule is alive and well in just about anything and everywhere.
I got a
So,
deal done a couple weeks ago. The listing agent told me our offer was not quite as good as the other offer that came in, but he was advising his clients to work with us because he had confidence in me more so than the other agent to get the deal done.
Isn't that great?
So
That's really
yeah, I
cool.
felt that was a nice compliment and
Hmm.
felt made me feel good. And my buyers were happy, obviously, to get the contract signed. But it can make a difference, right? The agents themselves can, they weren't going to sign an offer just because of me, but it was just another kind of little feather in our cap that I felt was a nice antidote.
And it can go the other way too if you are just a complete, you know what, to the
Absolutely.
other realtor and you know, so we
so
don't want to do anything to hurt our clients' interests.
right, I think, that's I think some of the hardest things, right? I would love to fire back a response. I would love to kind of share my 2 cents, but it's not my 2 cents to share. I don't want it to affect the client. So,
Yeah.
all right. So one of the changes I would like to make,
Hmm.
mine is on a complete opposite spectrum. I think we need, as an industry, to come up with two factors. We need to streamline and get out of these all 50 states and come up with kind of a country rule discipline of how real estate works so that Minnesota is not different than Ohio, that's different than Tennessee. And I think the best way to do that is to revamp the head of our association. And instead of having one person, I would form a committee. There are so many smart people out there. I would get a committee of five or three or seven, and I would put them in a position that they revamp real estate on a national level, not a state level, and make it more unified and make decisions that are not favoring a brokerage, a state, or a territory. And I would go completely big picture, throw everything out, start over, and let very smart people run our industry and tell us what they think is best for the consumer, for the transaction, and go from there. And that's a big change that I would like to see. Like I said, there's some really smart people that are running some companies currently. There are some really smart people that are no longer
Hmm.
doing things on a day-to-day basis that I think could be plugged into that kind of that board of directors role.
Would a
It'd be
licensed
interesting. I
realtor be
think,
licensed for the country, or would you still get a state by state license?
Well, I think you would probably still be licensed in the state, maybe, but I don't think we need to have as many rules that are so uniquely different from state to state. I think, some states, like in Minnesota, we're with commerce. Some
Mhm.
states we're not with commerce. We're in,
Yeah.
uh,
Wisconsin, we're in the legal bar.
right. And there's other states that are part of what is that? The fair, what's it called? Like, fair trade kind of a
Health and
deal.
Human Services.
Yeah, and there's a major difference there of how a state views you, I think, on where you're at. Like Mike said, Wisconsin is what, legal?
Well,
Mhm.
well, it's hard to explain, but I do think that the legal bar of Wisconsin has direct oversight of us, and we use very different forms. They're very legalese driven. Um, and some health and human services, health and safety. It's just kind of nutty. But hey, I work in the model that is surrounding me, and every state has its own right to do its own thing because that's just the way it works in the United States of America. And I don't think we're going to have a unification other than the national
Don't
test that
rain
we
on
have
my
to pass.
parade.
I, I, I'm a fireman. I got my hose. I'm
It
raining
was a
on
change that
dogs.
I think would make it better. Jeez, Captain Rain Delay. All right, Dominic, you said you kind of talked about your two, but can you go over that again? Or
Yeah,
choose
the other
one of
one,
yours and expand on it?
we've touched on this before, but I think just a higher bar in general, point of entry for agents to get in the business. I think it's pretty easy to take your classes, get licensed, and off you go. And I think, as a whole, it seems like we're talking about something similar on in a few different lenses. But how do we get the, you know, we want everyone to operate on a similar level to us or above, right? Because that's our expectations.
Right.
And there's no silver bullet to achieve that. But I think by creating a little bit higher of a higher bar for people to hurdle over to get into the industry to become a licensed agent could help in that endeavor as well. So it's not just anyone with 90 hours of free time and a couple $100 can get a license.
Dominic and
That's that's
Dom,
pretty much how it goes.
Dominic and I were listening. We listened to the same podcast. I'm sure he heard it too. And the guy gave your analogy, Mike, that like
What?
he got his license in like 100 hours or whatever, and his sister-in-law or something had to be
Cutting hair?
2,000 to cut a hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1,500 hours in the state of Minnesota to cut
Yeah,
hair.
well, wherever he was at, it was like 2,000. And
Yeah.
he's this like, I don't get it. Like, one's I'm helping somebody, with their biggest financial
Hmm.
deal, and the other one is she's cutting my hair that worst case scenario grows back, so but
Well, and on a superficial note, and I'm just gonna, say apologetically and sorry, not sorry, but just realtors, and I'm gonna just be generalizing. It's almost like we're our own worst enemy because the general population viewing us for some reason views us at the lowest common denominator. And that's really unfortunate. Whether the lowest common denominator is unethical, self-serving people that aren't taking the fiduciary of agency correctly. But also this weekend, when I was showing houses, because I haven't been in the buyer agency road for a while, I was absolutely amazed at, I mean, what these realtors were wearing, what they were wearing. I mean, I'm like, you literally I wouldn't wear what you're wearing if I was going to a Twins game. Like ratty old balled up sweaters, flip-flops because it was warm. I mean, zero professionalism when it even came to dressing. Like, which one is the realtor and which one is the buyer? It's like little things like that. And they're so easy to change but that's just me. And I know that's
so
judgy.
Mike, our friendship might be in play. You've rained on my parade, and now you made fun of agents and flip-flops. So
Yeah.
well, that concludes Think Lab 15. It was a good
Really? I've been
one. No, I'm
booted?
just kidding. No, I'm kidding. All
Ciao
right.
Bella.
So Mike, number two on your list.
dress code.
Let's go.
You already forgot the question. Speaking of professionalism, all right, Dominic,
Okay,
back to
but you know
you.
what? I do think, hey, tip, generalized tip for anybody in business. Dress professionally. You don't have to wear a tie. Dress professionally. Business casual. I mean, as simple as a pair of khaki pants, a shirt with a collar, a blue blazer, just something to elevate yourself is that in itself will absolutely change your world. It's true. I think there's a big lie that everything is casual, casual, casual. When it comes to business, dress for success. It really does matter. It's one last hoop you have to jump through. And it really matters. First impressions matter, and they're unchangeable in a lot of ways.
You know, it's funny. I've actually bought more stuff to wear in the last 6 months.
Hmm.
And I was looking at some numbers in my QuickBooks.
Hmm.
I'm on pace of what I was doing before COVID. You know,
Hmm.
COVID hit, it was like, we weren't doing very much. And
Hmm.
we were in, we were out. We were wearing masks, we were wearing whatever.
Right.
And, we weren't going to the office. Trainings were stopped, in
Yeah.
class CE stopped. So
Hmm.
suddenly it was like, I don't need to spend X number of things. I was at Hammermade the other day. It was packed. Like it felt like it was kind of before COVID. Like people were buying nice shirts, nice, jackets, whatever. Not that Hammermade's the standard, but I love Hammermade.
But you know what, David? You are very casual right now, but you have your logo on your shirt, and that in itself elevates you to the realtor position as opposed to which one am I supposed to be talking to?
Right. No, I get that. I was just,
I mean, it doesn't have to be a coat,
right,
but something that
right.
elevates you
No, I think you're right. Again, I think
as the
I was
professional.
going there. Well, I think to me, my comment was more, I think I was going there organically
Hmm.
because I am back to the dry cleaners. I am back to buying shirts and
Hmm.
pants and socks and, like whatever. So
Well, socks. Good boy.
my Hammermade socks, anything with the
Socks and
state of
flip-flops?
Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah, well, depends on who I'm with. Dominic, you're getting flip-flops. Mike, you're getting 4 layers of socks and shoes, loafers. All right. So my number two,
Weegens, please.
since Mike couldn't think of his number two, really.
What?
What? My number two is I would change the loan structures for government-backed loans.
Man, you're going deep into the weeds.
I think part of it is we do a lot of government-backed loans.
Hmm.
And I
And you're
think,
saying FHA, VA, USDA?
yep,
Okay.
I think the standards are, I think the process is really hard. I
Hmm.
think the houses are minimal. I
Hmm.
think that you, I believe that home ownership, fastest way to get in the game financially.
Hmm.
I think it's get out of the rent cycle. I think getting people into homes, and if people are in that FHA realm, um, I just think that the process there should be homes should pass more and shouldn't be thrown to the curb because of that. And because of the standards, whether it's peeling paint, whether it's um, broken window, a loose railing, something like
Yeah.
that. I
And the
just
way
think, what's that?
I see, I mean, I hear and I agree, and at the same time, um, I think that's where when it's a government-backed loan and it's government money, I mean, health and safety is a big deal. So if you
I don't
get
think
in,
having a peeling paint, like,
yeah, but what if there was peeling paint inside the house, literally peeling lead paint? And what if a toddler like really put it in their mouth and ate it because it tastes sweet?
well, what if the toddler fell down the stairs? What if the toddler put their head in the oven? What if the toddler opened the fridge and
But
drank
it's a
mom's
known fact
wine?
that kids were eating on peeling paint. It's like,
Well, sure, but we also rode in cars without seatbelts,
I know, but
Hmm.
not
you
anymore.
know?
I don't
So
know.
I just think that the consumer, I mean, like I said, this is a grand picture, right? So I hear what you're saying. Maybe there's some type of escrow or maybe there's something that get put that's put into place that a year after closing, an inspector comes back out and then maybe that wipes out part of your PMI. Maybe that wipes out something along the way. But I think there are legitimate buyers out there that
Mhm.
have a ton of sweat equity that they can put into these homes if they can just get their hands on them and get inside of them and live there. I don't think people are going to buy these government-backed loans and go, you know what? The window falls out every 5 seconds. I'm just going to keep it like that. You know
I
what?
remember
Right.
during COVID when there was tons and tons and tons of multiple offers and yada yada. And at the time, I was in the uptown Minneapolis office of the brokerage that I was with currently. And there was a really awesome group that focuses on first-time home buyers, first generational home buyers, and they were getting FHA loans accepted left and right in multiple offers because the buyer would be like, listen, this isn't going to pass because of X, X, X. I will come in and fix it myself before closing. And it was amazing how the buyers would go in there and do the sweat equity to get that peeling paint off. And it could be something as simple as scraping a windowsill and putting a sealant on it. But it was amazing how this group was just masterful in getting FHA loans
Yeah,
accepted
I
in
mean
multiple offers.
we
It was
did that too.
beautiful.
Yeah, we've done that too. We did all that. But there's also, I'm just saying that if we can release that valve, get more buyers in the process, I think you're going to see more homes coming on the market. You're
Mhm.
going to see you're going to see movement across the board.
Hmm.
That's what I think. So, Dominic, your second one?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on my two, right? So more like a less independent contractor type, or switching between employee-backed brokerages and independent contractor model, and the higher bar for agents. Those are my two. Um,
Can I add something on that?
sure.
I'm going to quiz Mike because he probably knows the answer better or can say it better. Mike,
What?
what is RESPA?
Ooh. I can't exactly describe it letter by letter by letter.
Yeah, I don't, but overall, what is it?
Um, it's preventing, God, I'm kind of embarrassed if I get this wrong. It's basically making sure that realtors and lenders or realtors and title companies don't form a relationship where if you send them business, they give you money in return, like a
Right.
kickback type of a thing,
So, did you
because that's
know?
not cool.
Yeah, so it's basically making sure that there's no kickbacks. That's the quickest way to
Mhm.
say it. So Dominic's point was moving people to the W2 realm. I didn't know this, and I think this will lead into the next topic. But if you're a W2 employee, RESPA doesn't apply to the same degree as it does as a 1099.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That was the whole kind of comment about Redfin being bought out by Rocket Lender, is that those agents are W-2 with Redfin. And now you have a clear funnel, perhaps, the way it was explained to me. And I didn't know that. I looked it up. There is some provisions that RESPA still applies, but not to the same degree. I did not know that.
Wonder
I
why
didn't
the
either.
difference.
Wonder why they're different because they're an employee of the probably of the brokerage, right? And therefore they're getting paid no matter what. So there's no
But isn't
incentive
RESPA
for
there
them.
to protect the consumer so that
Right,
the
but there's no, so okay, so let's think of you, Dominic, right? All right, you're an independent agent within Think Minnesota Brokerage. There could be a stake saying, hey, come and use our title company because Think Minnesota Title is going to give you a kickback for you sending a client there. And for the record, we don't have a title company, so
Right.
this is an example. I don't want people wigging out, but we don't have a title company.
Right.
Um, but the idea then is if you're a W-2 employee, you're financially, you don't get an incentive to have them use Think Minnesota Title
sure,
because you're not getting financial. But I would like to think if there's a kickback going on, it would go
right,
around and out the back door and back to you anyway. So, I mean,
right.
I don't know how
I
that
mean, there
fixes
are
it.
certain companies that do have title and do have warranty and do have loans, etc.
Well, that's the four pillars.
Yeah, and the thing is even when, like even now in my current brokerage, it's not Lake Sotheby's International Title. It's just but there is a title company within our office. So we need to disclose that there's a business affiliation with that title company, and the seller or the buyer can say, "Well, I would prefer to use a different title company." That's completely up to them. But but you need to disclose that there's a business affiliation,
Yeah, and also usually,
which covers the RESPA issue.
right.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, I thought that was interesting. So one of
Ooh.
Dominic's topics that he wanted was, and we kind of hit on it last week when we had our guest from Bell Bank, but what are your guys' thoughts of, I think I know Mike's, of kind of
You
this
think,
whole,
oh, you think you know me.
of this whole kind of everyone buying everyone right now, this mass consolidation and mergers and everyone buying everyone. Dominic, was kind of your topic. Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm not a huge fan of increased centralization of power of any kind, right? So I feel like as entities grow in size and their scale and their mass and their ability to control a market increases, I think that's a net negative to consumer choice and their ability to choose between options. They just have fewer options and there's more centralization. So I think on the whole, from a macro level, I think it's a net negative. Um, is there a way this could be spun as a positive? Perhaps, if there's more clear regulation, there's more rules of engagement, everything's a little bit more defined. You've got things that are all in house, kind of neat and tidy. But I think on the whole, I'm more for the competitive marketplace where there's a place for independent small brokerages, medium sized brokerages, etc., independent mortgage companies, all those things still living independently of each other. I think is still probably the best the best world for a consumer to live in. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Michael?
Um, well, the one big news story from last week was that um, Compass was going to buy Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. And as of today, apparently Berkshire Hathaway Home Services says we're not for sale. So that isn't happening. Um, I just
Can I
think
play
that,
devil's advocate?
sure.
If you own stock, they have
Mhm.
to say that.
True.
Keep going.
But I don't know. But I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like the mom and pop shop model of yesteryear versus like the Costco Walmart model today. I mean, the bigger you are, the more leverage you have to reduce costs and increase your profit. And if the real estate companies are finding a way to get bigger to reduce their costs and increase their profit, I mean, it's kind of that's just my overall opinion. Um, and that's why I chose to associate myself with a non-big box brand because I'm just not in that model anymore.
What are you talking about? You absolutely are big box. You guys were in the $2 billion club, and according to NAR, you absolutely got your pants hit because you are a big box. Don't, what do you
Well, I
mean?
mean, but it's still it's still a boutique
We're
style
small. We did 2
brokerage.
billion. Sorry.
Well, I mean, because Sotheby's does more higher end properties, but we don't have that agent count per office and per, I
No, but
mean,
you guys,
it's
you
small.
guys got taken with the NAR settlement, not because of
Oh
just
yeah,
Sotheby, but
we
because of
got
everyone. I mean, for those people that don't know,
the
who your
settlement.
your
I'm
company is owned by who?
anywhere.
And they own who?
Caldwell Banker and Lake Sotheby's Internet and Sotheby's International Realty.
So I mean,
So,
I don't want to break any,
Sotheby's is smaller than CB,
right.
but we're still overall owned by that parent company.
I mean, this
Um,
is breaking news here, so maybe people, if you're driving, you want to pull over, but think Minnesota, we fell short of 2 billion.
Not by much.
how come I feel like I'm out in the back getting whipped by a stick?
We just missed the 2 billion club.
You did?
Yeah,
By about two
Oh,
billion.
by about 2 billion. But I got new paint. So, all right, keep going. I'm sorry.
I I've lost my train of thought.
No, I think what's interesting, Mike, is no, I
No,
think
I just
what's
think that
interesting is you do have that perspective, right?
Hmm.
Because you are part of a company that has pillars, right?
Right.
Just like Berkshire. You
Yeah.
know, Berkshire didn't get into the real estate game because they wanted to get in the real estate game. They actually bought a company out of Iowa,
Hmm.
and the real estate division was in that, and that's how they got into it, you
Hmm.
know? So, I mean, it wasn't like that was Warren's plan sitting in Omaha going, real estate, that's where I need to go next. And
Well, I mean, Berkshire Hathaway is, I mean, as a college student from Omaha, Nebraska, Creighton University, we all knew about Berkshire Hathaway. We all knew about Warren Buffett, and we all knew, and I guess from an investment standpoint, real estate has always been good. Buy dirt, they say, buy dirt. And it seems logical that he would eventually get into real estate holdings.
so change the subject, rapid fire. We haven't done one of these for a while.
Mhm. I'm
Best
scared. Now I'm scared.
best business movie you've seen. And the reason what
Us.
made me think of this is right now on my social media, and I don't know the name of the movie offhand. It's the Michael Keaton one where he's Ray Kroc with McDonald's.
I
And
never
That's funny.
saw that.
you did
I
or
was
you
just going to
didn't?
talk about that because it was.
No. I should get that
It's
movie.
a great movie. And because it talks about land, it talks about dirt and the control that McDonald's has. And
Hmm.
it's a very, like I said, I love the movie. Yeah, again, we talked about movies
Hmm.
a while ago. I don't
Hmm.
watch a lot of movies. I can't remember movie names.
Hmm.
So anyone that knows me, no surprise, I can't name the movie. But
Dang, I want to watch this now.
so yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I just watched that a
Um,
couple weeks ago. I was going to say the same thing because it was topical to what Mike was saying, but that was a pretty good movie.
do they have a movie on Colonel Sanders? Because wasn't he like in his 50s as well when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yeah, you know what? You're right on the age and how he did all that, but I don't think there's a um I don't think there's a movie that I know of. I mean, there's some really good shows on History Channel. The Foods
Hmm.
That Built America,
Hmm.
fabulous. Titans, that's another great one where they, how people get into certain things kind of by default or, so.
Best business movie. Greed is good. Gordon Gekko. No, I'm joking. That is not good. Um, I don't know. I
I
I
just
have to
watched The
be
Big Short again.
I
I
was
That's,
going
have
to
to
say The
be
Big
I have
Short. That
to
was
be
going
the
to be the other
lame
one.
duck and say that I have to be the lame duck here and
I'm sorry, Dominic, what movie
I
would
can't
you like to promote?
contribute.
You took mine too. I was going to say The Big Short would be number one. Founder. I just watched recently, so that was top of mind.
Founder,
But
that's it.
yeah, The Big Short was that'd probably be my favorite, and I like the memes that go along with it.
Yeah. Have you seen The Big Short, Mike?
No, I have not, but I have I'm really weird about movies that I like. When I go to see movies, I usually want to be like entertained where I'm laughing. When I leave, I feel really, really good. I don't like things that make me down. But there's this one movie but I want to watch the one on Ray Kroc. That's amazing. But there's another movie that I want to watch, and it's about a woman. And I think she's an African American woman back, I don't know what era it was, but who built an empire out of nothing with homemade cosmetics
Hmm.
that she developed. And the thing is there's just so many opportunities to find something new and niche that you can grow. Um, that it's absolutely fascinating. So you guys have opened my mind, and I need to either read the book or see the movie on Ray Kroc because I heard that
I
was
would do
really,
the
really, really
movie.
good. And
I
wasn't he
would,
in his 50s as well?
yeah, but I mean, the movie Founder, it's not like a warm fuzzy. I mean, he kind of, I mean,
I
he
know, that's my
he
point.
he takes the company. I
Hmm.
mean, you know, The Big Short, I think, is a visual. I know the book is fantastic.
Mhm.
But they do a lot of what would you call those, Dominic? Like where they bring in celebrities and it's like that fourth wall or whatever, where all of a sudden, like Anthony Bourdain's explaining how they
Mm.
repurpose like fish, how it starts
Yep.
off being the big item on Thursday, and then by Monday and Tuesday when it's going bad, it's in the soup. And how they do all that. And Margot Robbie's in like a
Yeah. Yep.
bathtub doing some type of exchange thing. And
That's very restaurant-esque. Like if you have,
No, but they explain how the finances work, and then they have what's her name, Selena Gomez, like sitting at a roulette table or something, explaining how the money moves. I mean, it's just it's an informative movie that I think
okay.
yeah. So,
And potentially topical. If
all right. So,
you know,
Dominic, since I took your two movies, do you have a third one, Jaws or anything?
mm. As far as business movies, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know how that
Yeah,
would rank, but that was a pretty good movie.
yeah, that's good.
It doesn't end well though, does it?
Uh, I
Well, they all end
I
up
can't
in
remember.
jail, but
Yeah.
you know how he wrote his the Jordan starts with a B. Jordan, oh my God, I can't think of his name. You know how he wrote the movie, right? His cellmate in jail was one of the guys from Cheech and Chong, the taller guy. Is that
Oh my
Cheech or is that
God.
Chong?
I don't know, but
I think that's Chong,
I
right?
remember Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke when I was a kid in the
Yeah,
70s.
so
Great movie.
they ended up they were in the same jail cell, and
Really?
Jordan Belfort would tell him stories of why he was in there. Chong
Okay.
would be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, like you got to write that down." And that's how that came about was his jailmate or his cellmate.
My brain just did something. So let me ask you guys a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Going back to Gordon Gekko in the 80s, Greed is Good. Wasn't that young apprentice the son of a blue collar dad who worked in this factory? And didn't in the end the son side with the factory and do something really, really, really good for that factory instead of being with Gordon Gekko? Wasn't there some like altruistic ending and how he was still able to do a successful business transaction, but he didn't sell out his family and his friends and his roots?
Sort of. Because so Charlie Sheen gets arrested
It is Charlie Sheen, that's right.
and Charlie Sheen turns on Michael Douglas
Yeah,
to help save his jail time.
got it.
So I don't know if that's what word did you use?
Altruistic.
Yeah, I think saving your own bacon not to go to jail, I don't know if that's having a
Maybe,
moral
maybe.
decision going, hey, by the way. So,
Okay.
so do you
Keep
remember the
going, Dave.
code?
I love your rapid fire.
Do you remember
There,
the code word?
No.
Atacon steel. That was the big code word when they would call all the brokers and tell them that that things were happening. So, anyways, no, that's kind of it for rapid fire. So,
Dang.
yeah,
Okay. Um, you guys want to know what I'm doing today from a service perspective? You guys can tease me and make fun of me.
service.
Yeah.
You are going.
This is awesome.
You are going to the St. Paul Carnival headquarters and doing the parade clean out and getting ready for 2026
No,
fire and rain and snow,
no,
whatever it's
no,
called. No.
no, no. I might be royal in certain ways, but no, not that. So this is what I'm doing for service today. I'm working with this great agent on the other side. I'm the listing agent. It's not you. Sorry, David. And his buyer is a little bit concerned about the commute, even though they're driving much, 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 much farther from where they currently live. And he was like, maybe I'll have the person, go to the house. And I said, no. I said, I'm going to do you a favor. I said, I will go to the house. I will start my timer and I will drive from that house to your buyer's destination. And when I get there, I'm going to stop my timer and I'm going to screenshot it and I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to say, this is what it is, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I said, I'm going to do it for you and I'm going to do it for your buyer. So that's what I'm doing today for service. Isn't that kind of cool?
That's not service.
Yes, it is.
That's
could you
greed.
just
Just
Google Maps it?
I don't believe it because
because if the
Google,
guy likes it and he buys it, you're going to get a commission. How is that service? Isn't that
because I am
professionalism?
literally
Isn't
going
that
above
you
and
doing
beyond.
what you want? And
I'm driving from Lake Elmo all the way to Red Wing the route that I think they should take, not the Google route, and I'm going to
Oh
send it
God.
to the buyer's agent,
They're
and
gonna
I'm going
end
to
out
save.
they're gonna end
No,
up in Menominee going to Ted's Pizza.
I think that's cool.
I mean, that's nice of you to do that.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you.
See, we here at Think Minnesota, the less than 2 billion club, we would have just done like our app, but
Well, there you go. At Lake Sotheby's International Realty, we go way above and beyond the Call of Duty, and I'm going to drive it.
and kill the environment for a waste of gas. So
And when
thank
I get to Red Wing, I'm going to go to Harnishes and I'm going to get myself a nice big fresh donut. You just love to rip me.
you.
This is why I love Mondays. I love it.
All right. See you next week,
Um,
boys.
ciao, ciao.
Smash that subscribe
Oh
button
yeah,
Smash,
smash like,
because you made it to the
promote,
end.
subscribe,
share.
You're
share,
here.
comment of what you want us to talk about. We promise to
We
rein
need a
David
guest
in.
if you feel like you can add to our I do have a list of people that want to be on, by the way. So
Okay.
Mike,
Well,
you
that's
know one of
exciting.
them. So
Okay.
all right. Ciao. See you
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
guys.